You're 29 years old. You were convicted of an aggravated robbery, a first-degree felony in 2014. By my notes, it looks like you originally obtained probation for that. You're on probation for some time. That probation was violated, and then you went to prison. You're in prison for a number of years. And then you were able to be paroled. You were paroled for maybe on parole for about 9 months, violation, returned to the prison. And then since you came back into the prison in 2022, there have been three charges, and it looks like three separate cases. Uh, Two of them being a third-degree felonies, assault by a prisoner, one of them being items prohibited in correctional mental health facility. For the record, that's essentially what the admissions were today, were to those charges, essentially, that were there. So we have a first-degree felony, of course, is still active and pending. That's a first-degree felony, and the sentence length is for life. So the guideline, well, the maximum expiration is literally life, but the sentencing guideline that we have, and I want you to know that we see this as well, is June 8th of 2025, based off of the calculations of the Board of Pardons, looking at the time that you've already spent in prison and also in jail, essentially being incarcerated in total, even prior to prison, all that being calculated with these new charges. That's essentially your guideline date. And that's kind of what we have. I just want to make sure that you knew that that's what we see, and I'm sure that you've seen the same thing. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't obviously have all the time in the world, Mr. Ramirez, to talk about all of these different issues, and we appreciate your acknowledgement of these things, resolving your cases, admitting to these things. As you would imagine, when it comes to the Board of Pardons, one, to see that you were here before, and here for a good period of time, and secondly, you get here and there's some things that you've been able to do that have been good and successful. But obviously, you're in the most controlled setting in the state of Utah, that, or at least the state of Utah, can provide. And there are two things for us to really address, and these are the big things that we just have to address. And it's fair for us to address these, because no one's playing hide the ball. Obviously, there's been a pattern of not being able to be compliant, whether it's on probation or on parole or even in the prison. And then secondly, while being in prison, you've been convicted of new serious felony offenses involving assault and weapons. So obviously that's concerning.
Yeah.
Okay. So knowing that we see this pattern of violations while giving the chances and the privileges of being on probation or on parole, and then also just seeing this track record in prison, what do you think it would be good for us to know? What do you think would be fair for us to know about that pattern? As you could imagine, that's concerning. But this is now your opportunity to tell me, like, what about that do you think we should know, and why should we believe that in the future it will be better?
Honestly, all I can say is, I went through the blue pack and I understand everyone's concern about my behavior on the streets and behind the walls. Honestly, I had my head full of false beliefs. I don't know if it says it in there, but I was active, but majority of my time in prison as a gang member. I just recently denounced the gang life. A lot of my troubles stem from that. I can't make up an excuse, or I can't blame it on anyone but myself. And that's the reason why I take full accountability for all my actions that I've taken part of within prison. And it's a big step for me to even do that. I've took the time and I've really reflected on the things that I've done and noticed that it's not beneficial to me or to my family. It's always like a recycle. It's a never ending cycle for me. I've always found myself behind prison or in jail, even as a kid, and it's never gotten good for me. I've always try to take the time to try to better myself, but it's honestly it's gotten me nowhere. I do honestly do see the concern, because I shouldn't say I should have been out or I should have gotten another chance. It's my own fault. I can't be mad at nobody but myself.
Mhm.
And the only way I can prove to the board of pardons or prove to my family or to society that I'm actually going to change. I'm actually going to have to put in the effort and the work. I'm gonna have to start taking steps. I mean, to show that I can do it.
A- Absolutely. Okay. And that's a terrific statement. Obviously, you're an intelligent person. You've been able to analyze these things. And obviously, you're 29. And look where all that stuff has gotten you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I mean, like, it's good. And there's hope in that because what we see just through research and just through experience is that eventually people do kind of come to their own senses. And it can happen late 20s into 30s where they just kind of get through that juvenile phase and just see like, yeah, I got nothing out of that. Like I only got pain, misery, and a lot of incarceration over a lot of time away from family. So that's great that you're seeing that. Okay. So tell me about what those steps are that you see. I have noted here your statement that you've denounced gang life. What do you see yourself doing? Because obviously you're going to be here in prison for at least the foreseeable future. The guideline here is June. And it could be that day, it could be longer than that day, possibly shorter. But I mean, that's a good date for us to even look at or consider. And frankly, obviously, based off of the pattern that's been here, I mean, it's going to be probably at least that, probably at
Yeah.
least that guideline. So, I mean, that's a number of months away, you know. So, as you look at your continued time here in prison, what are things that are, what are some plans that you have to show that, you know what, this isn't going to be you?
I want to take the time to actually get to know who I am as a person. I mean, who Ricardo is, and try to not try. I am going to take the steps to get all the negativity, behavior, and the attitudes that I learned within the last few years out of my system. I want to be able to participate in the programs that the prison has to offer. I mean, I know it's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna happen
Right.
tomorrow. I mean, but
Right.
I do want to take those necessary steps.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I struggle with addiction, alcohol,
Mhm.
drugs. I mean, I want to be able to work on that as well. And ultimately, work on my family support and be there for my family.
How does that look like that potential parole one day? Like, where do you see yourself living? I mean, I don't need the address or anything, but is it going to be with family? What do you see yourself doing? What?
Yes, I have family support, and I can have two different places I can go with my sisters. Well, as far as in the job, I already have my sister talk to my old boss when I was working on the streets, base code. They'll take me back.
What's that old job?
Base codes, foundation repair.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, obviously, we wanted to talk. Well, I did want to talk with you about these being a documented gang member. You say that you denounced the gang life. When did that take place?
July 18th of this year.
All right. I do think it's fair for you to know, and I do think it's fair for the record to reflect that we did talk about your institutional behavior here. And I know that you've been on more stringent lockdown than before, but it's also fair for you to know that there were institutional issues, disciplinary issues beginning when you came back to prison. And that day was in April of 2022. So there were a couple in 2022, three in 20, or excuse me, four in 2023. But since this incident date of September 25th, 2023, nothing. There's been no disciplinary issues for him. Okay. So that's about a full year. Okay. And I know that you're on, more significant lockdown than before, but that doesn't mean that you didn't have opportunities to create more incidents and disciplinary issues. So I want you to know, like we see that. Okay. That's fantastic. Okay. And it is going to be critical for you to continue that discipline free life here at the prison. Because I mean, while words are fantastic and I hear you and I see you and I see the sincerity with all of this, the other thing that's also really important, and of course, even more important, is just actions and behavior. So availing yourself, and I know it's not easy right now, but availing yourself of programmings, classes, whatever you can do, just to continue to show that, hey, you've actually changed. I mean, I know you've been in the criminal justice system for a long time, ever since you were a kid. Okay. Um, and I want you to know I've seen this with people about your same age. Okay. They just kind of come to their own senses and they just figure out like, okay, it's time for a new approach to life. Okay. So I hear you. You will be informed of the board's decision, okay? And I thought it was a good discussion. I told you at the beginning, like, if there's anything else that you think I should know, we'd be able to talk about it. But do you think we've covered it all?
I think we covered it all.
Okay, me too. So, Mr. Ramirez, okay, continue to, I will give you one where I can almost guarantee you, again, I have to go back and collaborate. I can almost guarantee you this. Part of that board order is going to be that you stay free of any disciplinary issues. If there is another one that comes up, and especially a violent one, I mean, you're just coming right back here. Okay, so that is really the best thing you can be doing right now. The next best thing to that is to these classes, what's up. Addiction, alcohol, those things, getting treatment on those things, that's fantastic. Okay. And so you'll receive that in writing in the next 2 to 4 weeks. I do wish you well and continue on this good path. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
And they denied his parole, but guess what? He came back a year later where they granted. So he is out. Well, actually, they granted for a future date. So he's done well enough to then get out, which I guess you got to give him credit for. Sometimes enough is enough. Now, if you might be asking, if you're familiar with this channel, you might be saying, how come you're not doing a return of Mandoo? How come he didn't show his most recent parole hearing that just happened a couple of weeks ago? And the answer is that Utah has blocked us. They stopped making it possible to capture parole hearings. Utah is not the first state to do this. Vermont has done it. Iowa has done it. Connecticut has made moves to do it. Louisiana made moves to do it. States do not like public meetings, which is what a parole hearing is categorized as. Parole hearings are categorized as public meetings, not as even, they're not court hearings, they're not court proceedings, they're public meetings, but they don't like when they're called out by channels like mine, where we point out the good, the bad, and the ugly. So they actually rewrite legislation, they rewrite new laws or rules that prohibit us from covering them. But don't worry, it won't stop us. We have covered maybe 1,000 Utah parole hearings that are in my in our inventory, in our spreadsheets, in our database, that we will go and cover. And his parole hearing came back up. I knew that he was scheduled to have another one. Wanted to check it out to see if he got out. That's why we covered it. So we still have the ability to do that with many other states, including Iowa. If you want to see more from those states, let me know. But let's just go over this real quick so we can actually see it for ourselves. So as you can see, the decision date, 8/29/2025, which was just about a month ago, I guess. So his initial charges were all of these, where he got 5 to 100 years. This is an interesting 100-year sentence for aggravated first-degree robbery, but it's all a gimmick because really it's 5 to 100, 0 to 5, 1 to 15, 0 to 5. These are all what he got while locked up. Parole was granted 5/12 of 2026. Oh, effective 5/12/2026. Sorry. So as long as he doesn't mess up and they don't have a rescission hearing, he will be getting out 5/12/2026. And it's contingent that he finished some programs. That's where you can see it here. I do like how Utah makes everything organized like this, where we can see it all. The rationale, your next hearing or release date is above your sentencing guideline. Aggravating, I mean, it's not this even. They're releasing it. So there you have it. However you felt about him, he did well enough, I guess, in the meantime, to be getting out. Again, let me know if you still want me to cover these older hearings with updates. Some of the updates that I'm sharing with you will be that, hey, they let someone out, and guess what? They're back in jail. So let me know again. Otherwise, I won't cover them if you don't really want to see them. And with that, I'll let you go.